All right, everyone. So thank you all again so much for joining. This is our fourth e-mentoring session. We kind of combined the two video pitch reviews into I guess, one e-mentoring session. This is our fourth e-mentoring session, and you all are actually in for a treat. We have a couple of our board members, as well as some of our seasoned alumni. Um, Alumni being one of our student winners from last year's showcase, Raquel Blount, and also two of our faculty advisors, Dr. Velma Lassa and Dr. Susan Anwar. They're also mentoring some of the teams this year as well. And then Nina Archie and Lakeisha Greenwade. We also have our team online, Naya Ahmed, as well as MN Associates, our evaluation team, Nina de las Alas and Debbie Igunbor. Um, and so, yeah, just to start out with a couple housekeeping items here. As you all know, session engagement is part of the program's requirements. And so basically at the end of the showcase in September, we will be awarding the most engaged team a prize. As always, the session recording and additional resources will be sent by the end of the week. And also, if you have not received your startup funds, all startup funds for your projects were basically emailed to your team advisor as an e-gift card. It should have come from income incentives. And so if you do not know if your advisor has received the gift card on your behalf, we encourage you to have them check their email again. For some folks, it may have gone to spam, to look for income incentives. And if your advisor still hasn't seen the team's e-gift card, please encourage them to email us at hbcumaker@AAAS.org so staff can respond accordingly. And finally, we also have office hours from one of our members of our community of practice, Latane Brackett. I'm sure some of you remember him from the first video pitch reviews that we had. He provided a lot of feedback. And he has made himself available as well outside of these sessions to provide some additional guidance and support as needed. And on that tip of support, we just want to make sure that you all are aware that we're here to support you as you're growing in your projects. We know that many of you are now rising sophomores. So you're literally just coming out of your freshman year, and this is like a big deal, right? In the midst of all the things that you all are balancing, whether it be your academics, extracurriculars, internships for some of you, family commitments, and other responsibilities. There's a lot on your plate, and we understand that. And so we hope that you guys recognize that we're definitely here to support you all the way. We may not have all the answers, but we know that there's a number of people within our community of practice that probably do. And so we really want to encourage you all to continue to ask questions. I know some of you may be shy and it's like, oh, I don't want to put myself on blast, in front of a lot of people. But again, like we're all here to support you during these e-mentoring sessions or even outside of these sessions. Um, so yeah, we just wanted to make that quick note, but I'm going to pass it off to my colleague, Naya Ahmed, really quick.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're so glad to have you here today. Glad you could all make it. As Pam said, though we are the facilitators of the HBCU Maker Showcase, we are resources to you. So please do not be shy when asking questions or reaching out to us via email if you need any support or any guidance throughout the process. So today we're going to begin with an icebreaker, a prompt for you all. We'll have a few of you unmute and share, and the rest of you can drop your answers in the chat for the rest of us to read. So today's prompt is, what is a rose and a thorn, or an opportunity and obstacle of your summer thus far? And I'll go first. I'll break the ice, I guess. For me, the summertime presents a lot of opportunity for different seasonal activities and maybe free time that I might not have had at different parts of the year, or just more energy overall. However, I do get decision paralysis when presented with all the opportunity, and sometimes find myself doing less than I might have hoped, or choosing to do nothing at all and resting rather than adventuring. So it can be frustrating, but also exciting when I do finally harness that energy to have a good summer. So we would like to hear from some of you about your rose and thorns of your summer thus far, or of summer overall. If anyone would like to share theirs, raise your hand or come off of mute, and the rest of you share down in the chat how you're feeling. Pam, also, if you'd like to share, we'd like to hear from you as well.
Oh, I was gonna let someone else go first. Well, second. Yeah, I think similar to Naya, summertime can be quite busy with different events. I think right now in my community, like a lot of people are graduating and it's like, whoa, so exciting. And you want to be there for everything, but you can't. So I think for me, the rose is like getting to see people cross into new seasons, which is a beautiful thing, but the thorn is like not always gauging my capacity of what I'm actually able to be there for and not feeling bad if I'm not able to support everyone as best as I would like to. Um, so yeah, I think I'm gonna pop it off. I hope whoever I pop it off to, like, you're not like in a weird space. I'm gonna pass it off to Nikki Johnson. If you're able to come off mute or drop anything in the chat.
In that case, if our alumni Raquel wouldn't mind sharing a rose and thorn of your summer thus far.
A rose for me is that I am working on planning my mother's 70th birthday this year. It is literally next month. And the thorn is that it is next month. And there's a lot still to be done. So I'm just taking it one step at a time to make sure the event goes off well and support her and celebrate her accordingly.
Sounds like a lot of pressure, but I'm sure it'll be beautiful. If anyone else would like to share, please do come off of mute. We'd love to hear from you. I'll read this one. Julian King said, as an ID, summers are typically heavier than during the semesters. So the thorn is the increased workload, and the rose is that I get to have longer breaks for trips on the water. It's definitely important to prioritize your rest and your adventure again, but I definitely understand that sometimes summertime is the time to get things done. So it's very relatable. Another one from Nikki Hansen says, balancing work and school life, but once I start on schoolwork and finish schoolwork, I feel wonderful. And with work projects and due dates, I've learned to breathe and live a little out of work and focus on my team. Definitely just celebrating the small wins and reaching your goals. It's important to pat yourself on the back. Someone's not always going to be there to do it for you. So it's important to be your own cheerleader. And another one here from Steve Scholes. My rose from the summer was being able to attend a TMCF conference where I got to meet so many wonderful people from HBCUs all across the country. My thorn was when my Calculus 3 class for the summer got canceled due to not enough enrollment. So I had to choose different classes to take. That's really frustrating. Even though you enrolled, you had to rely on other people to show up as well. I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm glad to hear that you're pivoting. So with that, we will get started. Thank you guys so much for sharing. It's important to hear from you. So thank you for that. Back to you, Pam.
Thank you, Naya. Before we introduce our panelists again, we're actually going to do a quick, temperature check. Just give us one moment. So I believe most of you can see my screen. And so we wanted to do a quick temperature check just to see how the project is going overall. We know that you all are juggling a number of different things. And again, we want to make sure that we're providing you the best support as possible. And so if you could describe your feelings in one or two words, how would you describe your feelings right now towards like how you and your team are preparing for the upcoming showcase in September?
To access this poll, you can use the link in the chat and your answers will populate on the screen.
And all these are anonymous, so we can't see who said what, if that helps. Okay, see, nervous, excited. Ooh, competitive, okay. Ready, anxious, worried, chill. Ready, okay. Motivated. Okay. Pumped. I like that. Getting there.
That's fair. We still have quite a bit of time left before the showcase.
Yeah. Inspired. Relaxed. Hungry. Okay.
They're hungry for a win. You can't blame them.
Ecstatic.
We recognize that for some of you, this may be your first showcase, and for others, it might be your second or third, or maybe you're even returning. So it's important to reflect on your progress throughout the journey and to really just honor how you feel along the way. Hopefully, some of the nerves will subside as your innovations come along. And also, hopefully, you are inspired by the competitive nature of the showcase and of the amazing innovations being proposed by the other teams.
I think that's about what we have so far. Scared. Okay. There's definitely a lot of emotions. To what Naya was saying earlier, like it's I think expected to be nervous or feeling a little anxious about something new. It's a new season. Like again, many of you have like literally just come out of your first year of college. So I can only imagine what that's like. And then also signing up for this brand new experience with all the things that you all are juggling. But I'm sure that once you guys are like in the midst of it, like it'll feel like it was all worth it, all the preparation. All right, so we're gonna go to our next question. And so basically, what's one question that you'd like to have answered today? And basically using the same link that I dropped in the chat, like if you're not on the website already, just feel free to drop a question that you may have, or two questions, however many you may have. We know that we usually ask you all to drop a question in the chat if people are nervous. So it feels like you're being put on the spot, but thankfully this is anonymous. And so whatever questions you may have, feel free to add them here. And you never know, there may be other participants that also have the same question, but they're also afraid to ask as well. So you're gonna give a couple minutes for that.
In the meantime, if any of our present advisors or faculty would like to share their own summer rose and thorns, I'd love to hear from you guys as well. Feel free to come off mute.
And I'll stop sharing my screen at this point just to let them share.
Yeah, I'll be happy to share. Roses and thorns, I like that. Roses for me are always working with students, helping them be better themselves and research and to mentor and do such thing. But what it does, it requires a lot of time. So the thorn is balancing students and work and family and summer. And but one thing that's been really fun, I'm just going to add that, is all these line dances you guys are coming up with now for the summer, like where the fans at and and all of that. So it's been kind of fun to try to catch up with all of that energy for the summer. So that's been kind of fun for me.
That's a great answer. And I think sometimes even your students could mentor you on how to do some of those line dances. That's a great answer. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else? Roses and thorns.
I can share. For me, it's not that different than Dixon Latson. It's Rose's first in summer is spending time with family. And I do have kids, and they are waiting for summertime because I work the entire year. So they're waiting for summer for vacation. But the thorns is that I have this habit. I cannot not respond to email. I cannot. If someone requests a help or doing research, so balancing, being on vacation with kids, traveling and doing all this fun stuff that they are waiting for. I feel like guilty. I have to do this for them. But at the same time, I have this responsibility toward my school, my students, the research group that I mentor this summer. It's hard to balance, but I'm doing my best and I feel like I'm trying to do the right thing in both sides. So make both of them happy, school, my work, my family, my kids. It's hard. It's not easy, but at the end, I think I can do that.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's important also for the students to recognize that balance is required at all stages of life, both as a student and as an adult, as a mentor, as an employee, making sure that you have time and energy for your own life as well as for the things that fuel your life. Something that I can definitely still learn from. So thank you for sharing that, Dr. Anwar. And while we gather a couple more questions, if anyone else would like to share their rose and thorn, students as well, if you weren't able to share earlier, feel free to come off of mute. All right, Pam, whenever you're ready.
Yes, so far we have 3 questions. I'm gonna share my screen again. So one question that we have is, how do we make sure we're confident enough during the showcase to not make mistakes in speech, like the constant filler words, and ensure that we make the best impression possible? And any one of our panelists can answer this question.
Hello. So I'm not, can everyone hear me? Okay,
Yes.
perfect. So this is something that I was taught, and for our group, I wrote a script. And mind you, the research we were doing was from my graduate studies at the time. But allowing yourself to write a script, you get to the point a lot quicker, and it removes the moment of lag in your own mind that takes place. And so if you write a script for your section and say your teammate maybe writes their section as well, coming together and practicing that script together. For one, you know what you want to say. For two, it allows you to practice the timing so that you're not going over the timing as well. And those are some things that allowed me to make sure that everything that I needed to say was stated. So internalize it to the best that you can. Make sure you're not reading from the slides, make it your own, but internalize it so that it's not verbatim, and that helps you to stand out and really present your best stuff.
Yeah, I would like to just add that the script is very important, but for students, don't wait till the last minute to try to put it all together either. You're trying, summer, you may not have gathered as often as you would have liked in a group. And then when, the fall semester starts and you're ready to get ready for the showcase, you might be rushing to get together some stuff. So if the team could schedule some time to do the practicing and to write the script, but not wait till the last minute, 2 weeks before the showcase to do this. This is something that should be going on as you all are continuing to prepare for the presentation. So yeah, so I would just add too, I've seen a lot of teams up late, and I'm sure Dr. Anwar could say the same, when they should be enjoying the showcase, they're up to 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning trying to figure out how they're going to do their presentations the next day. Instead of tweaking it, they're actually putting things together and not sleeping and worrying about it. And I think those things also impact the way you deliver your presentation during the showcase. So just don't wait till the last minute. If you can avoid procrastination, I think that would be best. And I love the idea of the script.
hope you really took in those answers. We have winning alumni and alumni faculty here that are giving you the inside scoop on how to prepare for your presentations. And I just want to also remind you that no one knows your innovation as well as you do. So if you're concerned about how it's coming across, overall, your confidence will be what is presented to the judges. And so your confidence that you know what you're talking about will be what shines through. Let's see, anyone else want to add to that question?
Yes, I just want to add also take feedback from your advisor and implement it on your research or on your, for example, your presentation, and make sure whatever you put in your presentation, do a research on that and make sure you know what is there. Make sure everything that you put there, you have an explanation for it. I know some of the students, like even my team, they divide the slides to say like, this starts the first 4 slide, then you come. My advice for my team and all teams, make sure that you know what is in all these presentation slides and contribute when they just ask you. That gives more strength to the team, and they feel like all team members, they know everything about that project and not just this is your part and this is my part. Share all these research that you do and make sure that you know everything about it. And as you said, you know this more than anyone else. It's your work, it's your project. So feel confident. You have the answer. You have the correct answer.
That was a great response. Thank you so much, Dr. Anwar.
Thank you all. If we don't have any more responses, we can go on to our next question. Actually, we'll read Raquel's response really quick. Agreed. Every team member should know all the information in case they need to speak on it. And she provided an example. One of my team members was sick the morning of our presentation. Great note.
I want to
Great.
add one thing to kind of put it into perspective, because we're talking about group dynamics, team dynamics that's going on here that you have to build. And so oftentimes I've given the analogy when I'm talking to my class or anything about a project. If you wanted to say you're hosting a Superman party, right? So, and you all are coming together, one person might be responsible for the food, one person may be responsible for the costume, for the entertainment. It's still one Superman party. So you still have to talk to each other. So you don't want someone coming in with Spider-Man cupcakes and it's a Superman party, but that's what it will feel like. So you all have to continue to understand the theme, the problem, what you're going after. And even though you all may be doing certain pieces to the whole puzzle, it's still the same project. And everyone should be able to understand the project and how all of the pieces will come together, even though you may have been responsible for the entertainment. Superman party, you bring in Batman. Okay, wrong entertainment. You're not able to explain it, but the collaboration needs to be seen that everyone understands the same theme or the same problem or the same research project that you're going to. And that will be demonstrated to the judges and to those that are doing evaluations.
That was a great example. Thank you for sharing that, Dr. Latson. I think that's important to keep in mind that though you know what you're talking about the best, it can be most obvious to the judges that you don't know what you're talking about when there's conflicting information being presented. And that's very important. And also to go off of what Dr. Anwar said as well, some of the feedback that the teams were given during the pitch reviews is to not repeat what's on the slides. So if you are familiar with your presentation materials, then you know what you can add on to from what's already being presented and given. So I think that's important to keep in mind as well.
One last thing I want to add. I know writing a script about your slide is important, will help you, but please don't memorize it. Read it, understand it, and say it in your words. So when we practice, I notice some students, if they miss one word, they miss the rest of the script. No, just read it, understand it, and then say it your way. Don't go out of like what the slide is about, or if it is like about a case study, or if it is like about the problem, just say the problem in your way. Don't memorize.
That's great feedback. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Anwar. I'm keeping track of time, so for some of the questions that we're not able to address during the session, we will send up a follow-up email. So please read the follow-up email. We have a lot of resources provided in there that are very helpful, and they do answer some of the questions that you may already have. And so I'm gonna pick another one. So how is the showcase set up in terms of presenting? I believe we may have addressed this in a previous e-mentoring session, but I feel like it was kind of quick. So basically during the session, and Raquel, feel free to chime in, or our advisors feel free to chime in, because I'm new, I've never been to a showcase before. I just know what I've seen online. So basically you all will be we'll be showing your video pitch that you present the vinyl. Slow down. There's three sets of video pitches, so to speak. So like you had your first one that you did for round one, so you got your feedback on that. You have the next one that you're going to submit for round two reviews, which you'll be basically presenting next month in August. And then you have your final showcase pitch, which you'll be submitting in September. And so basically we will be showing everyone in the audience your final showcase pitch on the screen. And then basically after that, you will have time afterwards to expound on what you've presented in your video pitch. For some people, they may have props or a prototype of their product to present. There's a whole media kit online that shows like past teams, what they've done. And Raquel, again, feel free to chime in, girl. But basically it's just a time for you to answer any questions that the judges may have in terms of things that they may still not be clear about. It's definitely good to take your time to kind of take in the feedback that you're getting from the review sessions, because again, we're all here to support you. And so as you're providing the feedback, it's not meant to be a time where like we're just like throwing jabs at you type of thing, but it's actually to support you. So just kind of take everything in, take your time. It's definitely not meant to be like an assault on your project or your creativity or your productivity. It's just more so to help you grow in your product and your overall professional development. Feel free to chime in. Anyone else, if you have any feedback, or I feel like you're about to get off mute, but I was like, I don't know.
I mean, I can speak to it. I do remember when we went up, you'll have like a table. And so if you have, example, like a tablecloth to cover representing your school, you can have that. One thing that I do think separates a lot of participants is, depending on what your concept is, we brought physical examples of what our product looked like, and we set them at the judges' table so that they could see what that was. And then we also had a display on our table to say it can be used in this and it can be used in that, just to show long-term goals on what can be done. So I do recognize that's not always the case as it relates to like apps or other technological development. And so look at how you can make yourself stand out in the best way using what's given to you. So if you have a physical product, use your table well. If you can show the judges, move around and use your space effectively. I do believe that there is, like you said before, material available online so that you can look and see what's up. And feel free to reach out. I can put my email in the chat here if you have any other questions on that.
I also wanted to add that available on our website, which I'll drop the link in the chat as well, you can actually watch the showcase from the previous years to see exactly how previous teams were able to present, including Raquel's team, and seeing exactly how they were able to bring their prototype to the judges, use their space, and speak to their prototype after the video played. So again, we will be showing your video, so there's no need to fully re-explain what's in the video, but to expand upon it through what cannot be shared in the 2 to 3 minutes that you're previously given.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Hi, this is Nina. I just recollection from previous showcases. For those who are working on apps, if it's already operable, you feel free to share that. And I remember in instances they shared the link because they do have presentation slide in some of the presenters' presentations, and they supplied with the URL or whatever, or a place to download. And some of us were able to even try it out. So those are some instances and ways that you can present your innovation. Or a demo. If that's not possible within a minute, then you can see a live demo of it appearing.
Yeah, I had a team that wasn't quite prepared. So I just want to offer some best practices on one of those. I had a team one year that had worked late, and I'm talking about the procrastination piece. And so they were not fully prepared for the time that they had allotted for their presentation. So I'm just sharing some things that that can hinder you. You really only have 5 minutes. So the team really needs to be prepared with your setup. So if you do have products, you have to practice putting that stuff, your tablecloths on there, your you have to be mindful of the time that you're given for the presentation. So all of those things with your pitch, with your setup, with the demo is still within a time frame. So just practice, practice, practice with that, and to practice your prototypes if that's it. And I will say always prepare, have a backup plan, and then another backup plan, because sometimes the Wi-Fi may not be quite right in your in the hotels or whatever. You may not have the right Wi-Fi connections, or if you're depending upon some of these things. So have a backup plan and a backup plan to your backup plan. So that's it.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. We have 2 more questions. I think 2 of them can be resolved pretty quickly though. So is it possible to schedule Zoom meetings with staff for additional help after hours? So yes, we're available throughout the week, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. But if you would like to schedule time, feel free to just email us at hbcumaker@AAAS.org. And we should be able to provide any support that's needed. Sorry. And I don't know if you had anything else to add.
No, I was just gonna say, the maker team consists of about 3.5 of us. So we are willing to accommodate any scheduling requests that you have to speak with us or to meet with us if you have any questions. Yeah, just don't be afraid to reach out.
Thank you. And just to add in a note in the chat, I don't know if everyone saw it. So for your showcase presentation, everyone has 5 minutes, and that does include your video pitch, which will be about 2 minutes, and then the remaining 3 minutes is for the live pitch to what a question that favor asked in the chat. And now we actually have a question about faculty support. And I do want to be mindful about time. We will stay on a bit longer if anyone has any remaining lingering questions, but we also want to be mindful about time. Okay. I think I'm gonna answer this question about faculty support, or kind of pivot. Actually, it's a good pivot because we actually do want to gauge what it's looking like for everyone. We know everyone has different responsibilities, even our advisors. And so if there's any way that we can provide additional support as staff, or additional tips where needed, or even our panelists can provide that support, we definitely want to do that. So I'm going to switch back to our Mentimeter slides, because someone asked, is there anything expected from faculty at this time, the faculty advisors? And so, yes, at this time, we're hoping that they're helping you out, at least with team coordination, just to make sure that, everyone's staying on top of their stuff. It is summertime, it's very busy, and things can slip through the cracks, to what Dr. Latson was mentioning earlier. time is flying. And so by the time you'll see it's September and you're now scrambling to try to put things together. So you definitely want to make sure that you're keeping in contact with your advisors throughout the, even during the summertime, to see if there's a way to connect with them and ask any questions that may be, that may still be kind of like a challenge as you're planning. But we're gonna share one more question on the screen and feel free to respond. And again, this is anonymous, and so I just want to make that note again. But on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being ineffectual and 5 being impactful, how would you rate the effectiveness of your advisor's support in the following areas? So we have a number of different areas that we've put out, and we may not even be thinking of everything. So if you think of something, feel free to maybe privately message us in the chat as needed. But we have technical expertise, so, and Naya, feel free to elaborate on this as well, technical expertise, and just in my mind, I'm thinking of even just developing the actual product, like building it out. Like, is your advisor able to kind of like give you a bit of guidance in terms of like, this is how you get from point A to point B to point Z, like all the little steps in between? Because I know for myself, I don't have a tech background. I don't know how to develop an app. A lot of you are very skilled in this area, but I'm sure that there are other things that you may need help in terms of tweaking. In terms of communication, are they proactive and, just checking in to see like, hey, how's the project going? Is there anything I could support with? Availability in terms of their schedule. Are they actually, readily available if you have any questions? Team coordination, again, touching on the part about, just as a prime example, summertime, a lot of things are going on. And so just even checking in to make sure that the team is staying on top of whatever the team is working on, at this time. Project development and management. So just in terms of organization and just kind of keeping things streamlined. Business and marketing, everyone has their level or their area of expertise, I should say. And so do you feel like, your advisor is able to provide you with support in this area, in this aspect, and then also innovation? I think that's pretty like self-explanatory, but even developing the product, like all of that is there. And so we have a couple responses so far. I don't know if everyone's had a chance to respond. But it seems pretty good. We have like what, 4.5, most people responded with a 4.5 for technical expertise. For communication, we have a 4. For availability, 4.3, team coordination, 4.3, product development and management, 4. Business and marketing is a 3, and then innovation is a 4.3. And so I'm assuming that maybe that means that we need to share more resources on specifically business and marketing. We know that market research and competitive analysis was definitely something that was pointed out during the last video pitch review sessions as a place of improvement. And so we definitely want to plug in Nina Archie, one of our Maker board members. She shared a great resource a while back. It's basically a checklist of things to keep in mind as you're preparing your pitch. And it's very thorough and provides a lot of insight on the things that you should be focusing on as you're developing your project. And so we can reshare that after this call. But also, I guess this kind of ties into the whole aspect of business and marketing, and anyone can feel free to chime into this question. Sorry, I'll stop sharing. Oops, the Mentimeter for a moment. And this is a question, I'll just share my screen again, just so everyone can kind of like fully take it in, because it's kind of long. But, and again, this is a question for any of the panelists. How has your team determined the cost breakdown of your innovation? What did you include in the cost breakdown in terms of manufacturing costs, selling price, both manufacturing costs and selling price, and then also competitors' pricing scale? And so maybe this is a question for directly for Raquel, since you had recent experience last year, as well as Dr. Latson, Dr. Anwar, and Dr. Mitra, of things to incorporate for their price breakdown for their product.
For our product, we weren't immediately selling to the consumer. It was more so something that would be sold to, okay, for example, we made an oil gel product, which is a fat alternative. And so that's not something that's going to go immediately to your grandmother or your cousin or your college campus. That's going to go to maybe your Land O'Lakes that are looking for fat alternatives. And so when we were looking at that cost breakdown, it was more from that perspective. So we're looking at the equipment that we need to make it, the prototypes, our inventory, but not so much how it might factor in the final product of like cream cheese or butter. It's like the cost that it takes to make it, what are our materials, and the time and labor components. I hope that answers your question.
And I'm gonna jump in. This if you bring up your meter again with the business and marketing and the cost breakdown, that was an area where I actually had to reach out and find some additional assistance to help my team. Because it is definitely out of my area of expertise when it comes to market research, competitive marketing, and that type of thing. So I actually reached out to someone that I knew that was in marketing that came and helped our team out to do that piece. And I just want to say that for those teams, what I've discovered in the making and showcase is a marriage is starting to happen between technology and marketing and business that was not always there. So your pool of support may need to be expanded beyond what you're able to provide from technical pieces. And I'll just give you an example of what I mean with that really quickly, because I know we're on time. Most often, STEM researchers are really innovators. We're looking to just solve a problem. Like Raquel said, they're looking at this instance of the jail, and they're looking to solve a problem. And they may not necessarily be interested at this time to take it to market because the goal of a researcher is to research. So, but we do have to show some value in what we're doing, which is the business piece to that. And we have to show that value in the marketplace. So for me, innovation and problem solving drives the showcase, but the marketing and the competitiveness to take it to industry and to take it to market, I need to bring in some other expertise to that, which is, I think, where the showcase has done a really good job in helping those who are doing the research marry into this business piece that's necessary to now come together. So I personally had to reach out and get other people to help me bring that piece to the students so that they could be successful.
Thank you for sharing that. I wanted to say that a big portion of why we wanted to get your feedback on how your advisors are able to support you is because we understand that each of your teams come from potentially more of a STEM background than a business background, and that's to no fault of your own, but we want to know how we can best support your advisors in supporting you. And by recognizing that you're creating these innovations that you're hoping to take to market, we're hoping to connect you with our community of practice. Thankfully, we have Nina Archie here on our team who's able to provide us with some of those tips and tricks on how to understand how to bring your product to market so that you can best, again, as Dr. Latson said, marry the innovation side with the marketing and business side. So we don't expect any team to be fully well-rounded, especially as you're still learning and developing not only your product, but professionally. So allowing us to see where some teams need additional help on the advising side helps us to make sure that these showcase is as effective for you as possible. So again, if you have not gotten a chance to fill out the poll on Mentimeter, please let us know how you feel like your advisor is able to support you so that we can best provide your advisor with some support. If you wouldn't mind going back to the Mentimeter, Pam, just for a moment.
Yes.
And again, all of these polls are anonymous. We're not going to tell your advisor that you think that they are not available or that they struggle to communicate, but we simply want to know where we can step in to assist your advisor so that way you get the best support as possible.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at the results. I'm not surprised with the business and marketing being on the low side of that because of that very idea of STEM researchers having to come into this space that may not be so familiar. So yeah, that's pretty much where we are.
Exactly. And to the question that was asked after this about being able to understand the pricing of your materials, because you're in the developmental stage of creating your prototypes, you have the best eyes on what equipment is necessary to build out what your innovation looks like. So understanding what those unit prices are allows you to then take those numbers, scale them up, and be able to pitch for the marketing aspect to sell and commercialize your product. Anything else that the advisors might want to add from their perspective in terms of where they might have struggled to support their team in past showcases to give that insight to the current students that we have in our cohort? I also want to add that while we recognize that each advisor might not have the technical expertise to support their team in every area that might be necessary, your advisors do have the network of connections to find someone who does have these skills or has this specialty to be able to provide their resources to your team. So I think the example that Dr. Latson used in contacting someone within their network who is more familiar with the marketing aspect is exactly what we are hoping that your advisors are able to do in supporting you throughout this process. Also, really fast, we did get a question in the chat that asks, is there any structured questions that need to be addressed in the live pitch that are not addressed in the video pitch? Any insight into that, Pam?
That is something I definitely want to make sure I get back to you on, just because I want to make sure I look at past what was done in the past and then pull the questions from there. But Raquel or Dr. Latson, Dr. Anwar, Dr. Mitra, if you have any feedback, or even our advisory board members, if you have any feedback on things that they should keep in mind. I know that there was a rubric that was shared from this year's cohort of things that the judges would be looking at, but specific questions, I'll definitely have to revisit that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, make sure you check the rubric. That's gonna be provided by the evaluators, because that's really the targeted points of the showcase. Your problem statement, your goal, those things, and how well you're prepared, the research, the marketing research. But yeah, it's really in the rubric. The rubric was a really good guide.
I would like to second that as well. Recognizing that your video pitch is only 2 minutes, so using that 3 minutes to make sure you can expound upon things that aren't able to fit within the video by looking at the rubric and clarifying any aspects that you weren't able to touch on. And maybe even presenting to a friend or a family member who is not as familiar with your product and asking them what questions they might come away with at the end might give you some insight into what people who are less familiar with what you might be presenting on to fill in those gaps.
All right, and Raquel had a note in the chat, make sure you identify the goal or problem that you're working to solve. And thank you. Now I just dropped the checklist from our Maker board member, Nina Archie. It's very thorough, so we definitely recommend that you review that as well as you're preparing your pitch. And I know we're getting short on time, so I'm gonna pause in this moment and share the poll. If you could kindly respond, because it just helps us it's integrated to Zoom, so I'll just share it now, but it helps us get feedback on how this session went, ways that we can improve, or things that resources to even keep in mind of what to share after this session. So I'll share that in just a moment. If you could kindly just within these last couple minutes, just share any feedback that you have on this session. Anything that you've gained, anything that we can improve upon. And thank you all so much for your patience and your time. Thank you so much to all of our panelists, Raquel, Dr. Latson, Dr. Anwar, Dr. Mitra, Nina de los Alas, Nina Archie, Lakeisha Greenwade, Naya as well on the team, Debbie Ugunbor, thank you all so much. We all come together to put all of this together. And yeah, just even with this team, like you can see that one man isn't an island. And so like we all need each other to kind of hold things together. Where one person is stronger, another person may be weaker. And so it really helps to balance out the team dynamic. And so even with your own teams, you may have someone who may be stronger on the innovative side, or someone who may be better with the project management side, allowing each of your strengths to shine to be able to build up the team to what it needs to be. Okay, okay, so Izar, I have a question. What do we need to include in our self video pitch? Izar, could you clarify just a bit? Because each team is basically presenting one pitch. There aren't individual pitches, if that helps.
Hi, Pamela. Last time in the mentoring session, you guys mentioned like we also need to make a individual pitch, if I'm right. Or no, that's not necessary.
No, it wouldn't be necessary. You're all coming together to create one group pitch that you'll submit on behalf of the team.
Okay.
And so, yeah, hopefully I hope that removes some of the pressure, but yes, you're all coming together to.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Your final group pitch should follow the same format of the first and second round pitches that your team should be working on or should have already submitted at this point. So no need to concern yourself with a self video pitch. I did also want to allow Raquel to share her email or any resources of yours. Again, we have a great resource here. A former winner of the showcase who can definitely speak to what it's like to participate and what she got from it as well. And lastly, I'm going to share again Mr. Brackett's office hours. I know that the first group of pitch reviews, he was present and he offered to share his schedule for availability for any team that's looking for additional support, resources, or review of their pitch. So that is here in the chat.
And we're gonna keep the poll up for just a bit longer, because we're still getting some responses trickling in. And just as final announcements, travel booking is officially closed. If you haven't had the opportunity to contact Amex Travel to book your travel, please do so as soon as possible. And then your round 2 video pitches. So in preparation for the next video pitch review, you will need to submit your updated video pitches on July 28th by 5 p.m. Eastern. And we'll be sending this reminder out via email. And then the round 2 video pitch, the actual review sessions, if you have not signed up your team, please take the time to do so. slots are still open, and we'll basically use that to send reminders as well for you. And then finally, the last day to submit your final video pitch for the Maker Showcase is September 18th. And again, we will be sharing an updated timeline and other things to keep in mind as we're preparing for the showcase in September. But thank you all so much for joining. We hope that you found this session to be helpful, that you're left tinkering, like, okay, like ways to improve your projects, and even just other follow-up questions that you may have for us as a team or even our community of practice. Again, we're all here to support you. And so if we weren't able to address something during this session, feel free to email us at hbcumaker@AAS.org. Also, feel free to contact Raquel. She did drop her email in the chat. We have Dr. Latson, Dr. Mitra, Dr. Anwar. We have a lot of people in our community of practice to help push everything forward. And so please do utilize the resources that are available to you. Yes, and thank you so much. Dr. Latson also just dropped her email in the chat as well. And with our other panelists, if you're comfortable, we can also share your emails after the session as well.
I just want to share that any questions that were contributed to the poll earlier that we did not get to answer, we will be circling back and providing any resources or information necessary to answer those questions and providing them in the follow-up email coming to you by this Friday. So keep an eye out for that, and please read the follow-up email for all the resources that will be presented and available. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for joining, and we hope that the progress of your innovation is coming along smoothly. And again, reach out if you need anything. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Thank you all.
Thank you.